The Four Beardsmen of the Bookpocalypse.
And welcome to the 5 o'clock shadow. And today, well, first of all, I probably should introduce the theme, if you will. So the 5 o'clock shadow is really the bastard offspring of the Four Beardsmen of the Bookpocalypse, presented by me, the beardless one. And it's really a chance to have a one-on-one chat with authors and other bookish type people that we love. And today, very special guest. We've got the honor of a former SBFBO winner, author of the Eden Saga, and all-round legend, Justine Lee Anderson. Welcome to the 5 o'clock shadow.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Hopefully, that's a good enough wrap. SBF 6, I should say, so to get my and did I get Eden right? Because I'm the Australian accent, I might be pronouncing it. Yeah, I didn't get Eden, but
That is it. No, it's good. People tend to look and go, "Is it Iden?" Like, no. It's just a funny spelling of Eden. Trust me, it's fine.
Yeah. Awesome. All good. So we're going to put you a few questions, and obviously we've got a new book coming out, so we'll obviously talk about that a little bit as well. So I'll jump straight in. And for those that maybe aren't familiar with it, what started the writing journey? How did you get into this gig that you're doing now? What led to that?
Oh God. So yes.
The origin.
Yeah, I mean, going right back, the first thing I tried to write was when I was at university, and a friend and I, who's an artist, had an idea for writing a comic together, and we put together a bit of a sample script, and he did some sample art. We sent that off to Vertigo, as it was then. I think it might have been revived now. I know it went down for a while. I think it might have come back, which was like the adult imprint of DC.
Yeah.
Heard absolutely nothing back from them, didn't even get an acknowledgement, and thought, oh, well, that's that, and gave up on it because we had no idea what else we were doing.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was the early 90s, so it wasn't like you could easily go online and communicate with people.
That's it. It was a different time.
Completely different. Like, you posted stuff off, and if you didn't get something back in the post, then you just went, oh, well, that's that.
Yeah.
And so I tried a few things. I mean, I did a degree in English, and I tried doing something while I was at university that was just really pretentious. It was like this. It was meant to be like a collection of sort of short stories that were held together by what was essentially a self-aware narrator who spoke directly to the reader. And I was trying to be a little bit. It was trying to be a little bit like The Wasteland. And it was just very pretentious. And I gave it to one of my English professors. And his feedback was, it's hard to know what to say about something like this other than keep writing. And funnily enough, that had the exact opposite effect on me, because I went, oh God, it's a nightmare. It's terrible, isn't it?
What did I do?
And so, yeah, that I don't know that an existing version of that it still exists, really. I think it's probably dead and buried somewhere on a hard drive.
The lost manuscript, as we shall refer to it henceforth.
Oh, and probably for the betterment of humanity that it remains lost, frankly, and for my reputation, probably too. And so, yeah, and then I started writing Carpe Diem in my 20s, and had no confidence in my ability at all. Sent the first sort of 15,000 words to who was then Neil Gaiman's agent, mostly because I needed somebody to tell me that it wasn't garbage. And to my surprise, she asked for a full manuscript, which of course I didn't have because I hadn't written any more than the 15,000 words I sent her, which was, just incredible noob behavior.
Yeah.
And then, having been told by her, well, send me it when it's finished, I then went off and started writing scripts instead, and didn't actually finish the book either. I did well in a BBC script writing competition in 2005. I came second for the script that I put in, and that set me off in a whole new direction. I tried to get into script writing for a while. I was excited about that. I spent a lot of years doing that. Didn't get anything produced. Got close on a few things. Nearly had a script picked up by BBC Scotland. It went through 3 producers before it got to the one who actually had the money, and she said no. annoyingly, because they had something else in development that was too similar, which was I don't know if you know the series Being Human.
Yes,
it was
yeah.
So they had that in development at the time, and they were like, "No, it's too similar,"
Right.
and I was like,
Yeah.
"God damn it!" And then I watched that and wanted to hate it, and really enjoyed it. So that was
Damn it.
So yeah, went into that. Quite a few things. My wife and I. So I met my wife through that whole process. I met my wife through the competition. She also
But
the same competition.
you won something at least. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, that competition got me my wife and our son. Our son exists because of that competition. So, so that happened. We did a few projects. We wrote a film script. We did an adaptation of Julian May's The Many-Colored Land for an independent producer that we met who had the book rights to that. The reception of that was really good. The sort of producers, initial feedback from producers was that they loved it. They thought it was a great adaptation. But it was right about the time that we were transitioning from like 3-hour epic films to streaming.
Yeah.
And so it just never happened. I believe that it's still an ongoing, could happen. But I mean, you're going back to, I think we wrote that in like 2012, 13. So it's been a long time since that script existed. One day maybe something will happen with it, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. But anyway, eventually we came back around to, we came to a position where I was in a fortunate position where I didn't need to work full time for a little while. And so I finally came back to like, do you know what? I'm going to finish that book. So I finally went back and finished Carpe Diem. And I had more confidence in myself by that point. And, by that time, self-publishing was becoming a thing. Amazon was coming online. It was becoming more possible. And I also think I just had more belief in myself. I was late 30s by that point, I think. And
more life experience. You've probably been writing. I mean, whilst you weren't writing a book, you were writing. So I guess
exactly.
And
it had always been in the back of my head. So we came back to that. I finished that, and I subbed it to maybe a dozen agents at most, I think. I'm very impatient with things. I didn't have the patience to spend like 3 years on submission. I got some really nice feedback from one, a guy called John Jarrell, who's a bit of a legend in the industry. He was really kind. He said it wasn't for him, but he could see the merit in it. And we exchanged several emails as he gave me a lot of advice about the industry. Finally got published with a really small press down in Newcastle. And really nice guys, but just small press, had no budget. I ended up spending money on marketing, learned how to do Facebook advertising. It was really quite successful. And then in 2018, I took back the rights because I figured with my background in publishing, like I'd been working as a professional writer and publisher for most of my career anyway, doing things like guidebooks and websites and things like that. So I had a fair bit of experience anyway. So I took back the rights, republished Carpe Diem myself in 2018. Next thing I wrote was The Lost War, published that in 2019. Very fortunate to win SPIFBO 6. And that led me to getting an agent, which led me to getting a deal with Orbit.
Yeah, which is what a journey. That's
over the course of, over the course of 30 years. That's 30 years in a nutshell, basically. Yeah.
An overnight success in 30 years. There you go. So
there you go. Exactly. I mean, most overnight successes are overnight successes over the course of decades, really, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's always interesting to see what led people to where they are now, and the little, as you said, if you hadn't entered the competition, you wouldn't have, met your wife. A sliding door moment, if you will. So that's
absolutely. And it's funny that competition that I entered, it was called The Last Laugh. And I knew nothing about it except for one night, me and my now ex, a friend of mine's a stand-up guy called Jason Whitehead. He's an old mate of mine, and he was in town, and we found out he had a gig at the last moment. So we were like, "Are we going to go and see him?" Yeah, let's go out and see him. And at this gig, he was like, "Oh, I'm entering this competition I know about. Like the deadline's in like 2 weeks. It's a comedy script writing competition." And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I might do that. So like in the course of the 2 weeks, I put together a script for this. Now, we nearly didn't go out that night. And if we hadn't gone out that night, he wouldn't have told me about the competition. I would never have entered it. That whole, like, that's a real sliding doors moment.
Absolutely.
There's a whole other timeline out there where we didn't go to that gig and my whole life is completely different.
Yeah. Well, they write that down. That could be another idea.
Yeah.
They'll turn it well. So that I suppose leading on a little bit to the next question is obviously, for anyone that doesn't know or hasn't picked up, you're a proud Scotsman, and this country that has a long history of myths and storytelling, and I just wondered how much that impacts your writing and characters world building. How much you take from your surroundings.
I mean, a lot. I love Edinburgh. I love my hometown. I think it's just a beautiful city. I love so much about it. Obviously, the country of Eden is based on Edinburgh. And Carpe Diem begins with a character set in Edinburgh. The next one of the next books I'm thinking about writing after this series is set in Edinburgh in the 90s, because it was my decade. I'm fairly predictable. Edinburgh tends to be my setting. I think I have a really interesting relationship with Edinburgh, and the reason for that is that although I was born here and lived here until I was 3, I then moved to the States with my parents and grew up there for like the next 11 years. And so when I was coming back here, it was usually on holiday. And it always felt slightly magical. It always felt like I was sort of going back in time, because it was so different from the world that I was living in on a day-to-day basis. And what I find interesting as well is that Australia, having been to Australia for a visit, I was going to say recently, 2008. It's not very recently at all. But I remember thinking Australia was a real blend of the two. It was really interesting. It was like if you took a hybrid of my childhood in the US and the UK and smushed them together, it was a bit like Australia, except with better weather.
We do have
more things trying to kill you. But yeah, so my impression of Edinburgh has always been that it was like, I always appreciated what was special and magical about it. I never took it for granted. So, the beautiful architecture, the history, the ghost stories, the vaults, the massive dormant volcano right in the middle of the city. I love all that about it. I found it a beautiful place to be. And then modern Edinburgh is also so beautifully multicultural. We have this, we have all these festivals. We have this amazing spread of cultures of restaurants and bars and culture. And I love all of that. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to live. And it's why I tend to set everything I write there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I can attest to that. My brother lives in Edinburgh. We were there a couple of years ago. Lucky to have, I've been there a few times back in my sort of university days. I was just down at Durham, so obviously Edinburgh wasn't too far away. But I took my kids coming from Australia, and I think Edinburgh probably was their favourite part of the trip. To be honest,
it's just a lot of people living here take it for granted. I think. I think I appreciate the fact that I grew up in such a different culture that I'm able to appreciate what's really special about it.
Yeah, something to take away and then come back to it. Yeah, no, that's and I said, I may have mentioned the time when I was reading Lost Wars a couple of times. I went, oh, hang on, I think I recognise, even my limited knowledge of Edinburgh as a place. I thought, oh, that might be quite familiar.
There are a number of pubs that are still open that are listed in there. There's quite a few like real pubs.
I think one of my
early drinking today.
I think one of was probably the first or second time I went to Edinburgh. My brother was living there, and I ended up in a bar at 7 a.m. with a guy whose nickname was Bucket, which probably the two things were probably fairly closely related. Thinking, how did I went out for a house party.
My guess would be if you were in a bar at 7 a.m., it was probably the Penny Black, because the Penny Black is infamous for opening at 5 a.m. for dock workers every morning.
I think it might well have been actually. So there we go. So yes, so I can attest to some of the history and the ambience of the place. So it's very good. Hopefully back there before too long. We mentioned obviously in your writing journey, winning Spiffbo, and that was a battle to the death with 299 other books to come out on top. And I wonder if you might be able to share a little bit of your experience of the competition and for any authors. I mean, obviously the format of entering has changed something or had to change in recent years, but perhaps you'd recommend whether it's worth, you'd say, a budding author, to tip the hat in the ring and what your experience of the competition was.
I would 100% recommend anybody, any self-published fantasy author, to enter it. It was a great experience. And I've had both ends of the experience. So I entered Carpe Diem at the point where Carpe Diem was doing, in terms of sales and reviews, Carpe Diem was doing great. It was doing really well. And I came across Spiffbo, and I thought, oh well, this looks like a cool thing to do. I'll book's doing well. It's broadly well liked. It's got great reviews. I'll put it in and see how it goes. Bombed out in the first round. Like it didn't get reviewed. I think somebody whoever the reviewer, I can't remember who it was, but whoever the reviewer was, obviously picked it up. The humor didn't gel with them, and that is the humor is so subjective. Humor didn't gel with them.
Almost more so than in many other genres. That if you're not getting that bit, then it's
that's it. If you're writing humor and the reader doesn't think it's funny, that's it. The book is not for them. You're done.
Yeah.
So it got bombed out really early, and that was just that was Spiffbo 4, right, which I think, if I'm remembering rightly, was then won by Orconomics. So it was actually won by a comedy.
Yeah.
It was won by a comedy, and I was just like, okay, that didn't work out. So I've had both ends of the experience. I've been bombed out first, and then I've won it with a completely different book. And yes, it's absolutely worth entering. It's worth entering for so many reasons, but a lot of it is the community that you will meet. You will meet other authors. You will meet a lot of really passionate bloggers and reviewers who want to be supportive of Indian self-published writers, and it's good for your mental health. It's good for your career. It's good to have other people to talk to, because it's a really solitary career. Otherwise, you can go mad sitting in a room by yourself talking to imaginary characters. So the whole community around Spiffbo is great.
Yeah.
Sorry?
No. So it's when those characters talk back to you, I suppose you have to worry. But
yes, that is. Well, sometimes they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. The better you do, the more publicity you get, the more visibility you get. If you're lucky enough to win it, it can be literally life-changing, as it was for me. So yeah, 100%. The one caveat I would add to that is, do not under any circumstances rush a book into it, because if you put your book in before it's as good as you can make it, if you put it in before it's ready, you're wasting a massive opportunity. So if your options are rush it and get it in for 1 year, or wait and get it right and make it as good as you can and put it in the following year, then wait.
Definitely
do not waste the opportunity to put it in too early, because you will not get any benefit from rushing it, and you will probably waste an opportunity.
Yeah, it's an amazing competition. I only counted probably a couple of competitions ago, and the authors I counted, even for books that didn't progress, it was always, that sounds interesting, and what I found is a lot of reviews now all say, well, if the book didn't progress, this wasn't for me, but and that's helpful, I think, and it's hard enough to get noticed and shout into the void and get that attention. So it's
absolutely
bliss to everybody. I mean, it was a great experience. As you said, there's reviews, the judges, no one's really there to get and knock people out. It's very much more an uplifting experience. So I think that's very good. Now,
it's just a great opportunity for exposure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carpe Diem's got a few references, and I just wanted to sort of interrogate a little bit further. You've gone from quite a different style of book to the Eden Saga, and how did you go from that to, was it a conscious decision to write something more marketable, or was it a case of just I want to do something different, or quite a shift from sort of a comedy to sort of a fantasy style?
It was probably a absolutely terrible business decision. So as I say, I'd written Carpet Diem. It had done really well. It had been well reviewed. It sold a lot of copies. And I did make a start on a sequel, which is still sitting on my hard drive, waiting for me to finish it. But at that point, so what had happened was I had 3 different ideas for a political metaphor I wanted to write. I wanted to write something set in a fantasy version of Edinburgh, and I had these characters that we had used to role play that I wanted to do something with. And at the point where I realized they all fit together, and it was one book, that book was screaming at me to write it. Just couldn't think about anything else. Couldn't think about the Carpet Diem sequel. It just was absolutely screaming at me. And I had a whole conversation with my wife where I was like, I really, really, really want to write this other book. And she was like, that's a terrible idea. From a business perspective, write the sequel to the successful book you've already published in the same style. I was like, yeah, okay. From a business perspective, that's probably the right decision. But from a creative perspective, it was the completely wrong decision. And I spent a lot of time trying to write that and getting nowhere because my mind, it wasn't what my mind was excited about.
Yeah. And wasn't
and so, exactly. And so I had to, it wasn't that I'd never wanted to write that book. It's just that I was presently more excited with this other idea. And that was nerve-wracking too, because it was like starting all over again. It was like, okay, I've written this sort of, I describe Carpet Diem as being kind of like Tom Holt with dick jokes. So I'd written this silly body comedy fantasy.
Yeah.
And then I was going to go and write this serious political conspiracy thriller in a fantasy kingdom instead. And so it really became, the questions I had when I was in my 20s starting writing Carpet Diem was like, am I any good? Is this going to be worth reading? Just all came back. It was like, okay, I can write that, but can I write this? Like, I don't know if this is any good. Is this? And thankfully it worked out. And I had my wife. Yeah, thankfully it was all right. And I had my wife around as my alpha reader to tell me it was good. And then I've got friends that I had as beta readers, and they were all like, this is even better. This is a better book than your first book. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean that never goes away. With every book you write, like the first reviews of Damned King have just started coming out, and they're really positive. Fantastic. And I didn't realize how nervous and stressed I was about how it was going to be received until I read the first one and was like, oh, thank God. It's like, thank God people like this one. So yeah, I mean, you would hope that you get better with every book that you write, but equally, your brain tells you with every book that you write, you've lost it. This is garbage. You've written everything good you're ever going to write.
And I heard a number of authors say that, in a series, and as you said, you've written, successful book. It's won a competition. There's a lot, I know a lot of people, love the series, and that's, I suppose, slightly leads into the next question is, like, when it comes to writing, book 3, The Damned King. Hopefully everyone can see bottom of the screen out on the 19th of August. So go buy it, pre-order now. When it came to, was it different writing that, being book 3 compared to the first 2 books, or was it?
Well, it was more. So book 2 was more different than book 1. So without spoilers.
Yes. And there's a great twist in book 1 for those that haven't read it. I won't spoil it.
That's what I got to try and avoid. So having done what I did in book 1, it literally wasn't feasible for me to do more of the same, because
it'd be quite contrived if you tried to do it again.
It creates a premise that you then have to address and do something with, and that had always been my intention. I wasn't. That wasn't going to be a like, oh, let's reset to 0 and go again. It was always my intention that this was a progression of the story.
Yeah.
So where book 1 was a thriller, a sort of conspiracy thriller, political mystery in a fantasy setting. Book 2 becomes a much more character-driven story, and much more about how the characters are dealing with the fallout from book 1. There you go. Yes, bit of crowd. So it's a different kind of book, because although it's all the same characters, it's dealing with the fallout from book 1, but it's much more character driven. So it's again, I've gone from one style of book to another style of book that's very different. So again, I was like, God knows if this is going to work. I hope people still like this. And I know of at least a couple of people who were like, wow, this wasn't as good. I didn't enjoy this as much as the first one. But then I've seen other people who were like, oh, this is much better than the first one. So it obviously just comes down to personal taste, as to how people feel about it. But book 3, so books 2 and 3 were originally going to be book 2, because originally this was a trilogy. Okay. And initially it was going to be book 2 and 3 were like where book 3 ends was where I intended book 2 to end. Yeah. But 200,000 words into book 2 in the first draft, I realized that I was nowhere near finishing it, and thought, okay, it turns out this is 4 books. And so book 2 ends on quite a cliffhanger.
Nice.
Because really I wasn't intending to end there. And I had to just kind of find a point that made sense to close off some of that story arc and give me a place to lead into, and something to anticipate into book 3, which I think worked out well in the end. My editor certainly liked where I ended it and was like, oh, people are going to be dying for the next one. I was like, okay, well, I guess that's what you want, isn't it? You want
and from marketing, you want that hook to keep them coming back.
Yeah, so writing 3, there were things I did in 3 that I haven't done before, which was fun, and I enjoyed them. So there's a major battle scene that opens book 3, and I wrote it in a way that I haven't written before.
Okay,
I really enjoyed it. And I was cribbing from other writers I admire, not least Joe Abercrombie, who I adore. I think his writing's amazing. And so I was learning what I could from other writers who've done similar things well. Anna Stevens was another one as well, who I was cribbing from some of her work in something similar. So and again, like my feedback from my beta readers was, and my editor as well was like, the first 100 pages is like I didn't put it down for the first 100 pages, and I'm like, bonanza. That's what I was going for. Great.
That's great feedback, isn't it? Definitely very good. So we've avoided spoilers. So I think my next question we've kind of answered, but when it comes to the characters in Dan King, I suppose, again, we'll probably give it anyway, but any ones that you particularly, do you find some that are more fun to write than others, or do you have a favorite as an author that you enjoy?
Do I have a favorite? I mean, I always enjoy writing Samily, just because I find her really interesting to write. She sees the whole world very much in black and white. And by this book, she's starting to understand that the world is not black and white. Yeah. And that's interesting as she kind of learns to deal with that. I suppose the other one is that this book is, and again, I can't say who it is without a spoiler, but this book is the first one where I've really spent much time writing a significant antagonist.
Okay, cool.
And that was fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed writing some of that character's interactions with characters and some of their speeches, because they are, they're the first properly, like, this is just a loathful person, really. Yeah. And that's not something I've done in the previous books yet. So that was fun. And there's more of that to come in. There's more of that to come in the final book too. So
excellent. So
I enjoyed writing that.
Everyone enjoys that. There's more coming.
And there's another character. There's another character I enjoyed writing this, but she's introduced in. Again, it's a spoiler to say who it is. There's a character that's introduced in book 2, who I enjoy writing in book 3, and I particularly enjoy writing her relationship with another character in book 3.
Excellent.
But yeah, it's it's all spoilers.
You just have to read them and find out. We can't give you any more than that.
Yeah.
So,
what I need to do is like a massive, like once the whole series is out, I need to do like a total spoiler like interview about the whole series for people who've read it all, so I can talk about all this stuff properly.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because we were chatting on the Beersman a few weeks ago to the wonderful Yanni Wirtz, who's legend, and lovely person, and she's just finished her 11-book series, and so you can imagine she's wanting to talk to, but I can't talk to you about those books because not everyone's got through all 11 books yet. Just got to wait a little while.
I'm really looking forward to it being. I'm looking forward to all 4 books being done and out, and being able to do interviews for it. I'm like, right, let's dig into this for people who've read the whole series, because there's so much I want to talk about.
We'll just get Justin back on in after book 4's out, and have a spoiler-filled discussion. So
awesome.
So we've got what we've nicknamed the brown paper bag question on the Beersman, which we all think is great, and then we have to work out. We have to explain it the whole time. So what we mean by this is, I don't know if they have it. You've come across, but certain bookshops will have a sort of almost like a blind date with the book. So you can't see the cover, you can't see the author, you can't see it. All you get is a couple of lines about the book as a sort of taster, elevator pitch in a way. So I was wondering, it could be any of your books. I'll let you pick whichever one, and you don't even have to tell us which it is. But would you like to pick one and sort of give us your brown paper bag quote for said book?
I'm just going to steal one that I know exists and works incredibly well. I've got a great relationship with Toppings in Edinburgh, booksellers here in Edinburgh, and they do exactly that. They do a blind date with a book, and they have. I'm absolutely certain they have sold more copies of The Lost War than any other bookshop. And the way they have done a lot of it is they do the brown paper bag thing, and their brown paper bag tag is just, "What if Edinburgh was a fantasy kingdom?" Which was actually a line I used on a flyer that I did with my mate Jason, the stand-up I was talking about. He was at the Fringe a couple of years back, and he was like, "Hey, do you want the back of my leaflets for a book ad?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." And that was exactly what we put on it, just a picture of it. And what if Edinburgh was a fantasy kingdom? Toppings picked up on that, and that became their brown thing. And they sell hundreds. That's great.
That is an amazing bookshop. When I was there 2 years ago, my brother gave me for Christmas a voucher, and so I spent sort of an hour or two in Toppings.
It's great. I refer to it as the little wooden labyrinth of books.
Absolutely, yes, it is. It was a lot of fun. It was same time, it was different bookshop, but at the same time when I picked up this lovely signed copy for.
From down at Argonaut.
That's the Argonaut. I was trying to think now. So just to make everyone jealous, I have a signed copy. So that was a lot of fun. But yes, Edinburgh. Another reason to love Edinburgh is the bookshops. They're great. It's an amazing place. So we're going to shift up a gear a little bit and say, apart from being, as we've established, a very accomplished author after your overnight success, what are your other talents aside from writing?
I mean, I don't know if I have other talents particularly.
It might be purely your thoughts on it. We don't have to verify it with anybody else. We'll take your word for it. So,
I mean, I've always been quite good at like debating and arguing, and my teachers and parents when I was a kid all said I should be a lawyer, and I thought that sounded like a lot of hard work.
Yes,
I didn't fancy that.
The same thing actually.
There you go. What I have done is, particularly the older I get, the more I've gotten into like politics and stuff. So I'm a member of the Scottish Green Party, and I was always very passive until a few years ago, and now I've become more active, and I'm kind of more active about doing stuff. So that's kind of. And the other career, like the sort of two other careers I might have had, is I might have gone into politics once upon a time. And the other thing I always thought I might do, because there you go. Here's my other skill. I'd have been a really good detective. I've been to 2 murder mystery nights in my entire life, and I solved both of them. So I'm a good detective. There you go. I would have been a really good detective, and I might have been a decent politician too.
And you know, we could have seen you on Department Q in Edinburgh solving crimes.
Exactly. Perfect place for me.
Absolutely. But there's something about Edinburgh, isn't there, with that crime? You know, there's a lot of, again, you know, Fancy has got a lot of great crime writers have set, or books are set in Edinburgh, or authors, crime authors have come from Edinburgh. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, it's slightly different question now, but if you could ask 5 authors, living or dead, to dinner, who would they be and what's on the menu?
So this is tricky because my first instinct is, I'll just get a bunch of my mates together and we'll have drinks. Because there are loads of writer mates that I would love to just have around for dinner and sit and have a drink, and probably you know, we'd just do tapas or something like that. Tapas or mezza, you know, something like that. But picking who they would be. So once upon a time, it would have been easy because I would have gone, well, here are my writing inspirations and heroes. But like 2 of them have turned out to be really terrible people who I don't want to spend time with.
No.
So they'll remain nameless, but people who I would have once upon a time been really interested to meet, who I now hope I never bump into.
Yeah.
So what I did was I've got a list, because following on from the last conversation, there are some authors that I have had some really incredible political conversations with. It's a real interest of mine, is politics and society. So my list of people who I've had great political conversations with and would happily have round and would just discuss politics and set the world to rights would be Steve McHugh, Nick Pullen, Lauren Bucas, Stu Hodson, and Kip Power. That'd be my 5. And that would be we would just sit and talk politics and society and the world. And I think it'd be a really fun conversation. And the thing is, I think they're probably all smarter and more knowledgeable than me, and therefore I would learn a lot about it as well. I would learn a lot from them.
And do you think are they politically different to you in their views?
No, I think they're broadly politically aligned. So they're all definitely on the left of centre to one degree or another. And I think we would find ourselves in agreement, but it would be an interesting and fun conversation.
How you got there?
It would be interesting again. It would be more about learning from their experiences, their knowledge, and their insights into the kinds of things that I maybe don't have. So yeah, that's my 5. I couldn't, if it was just a bunch of mates, I couldn't narrow it down to 5. That was the problem. It's like, if it was just people I wanted to drink with, I'd be screwed. But they're all people that I've individually had interesting political conversations with. So just get them all around the table and chat to them all at the same time.
I'd agree. I mean, my father was involved in politics for many years, and he said some of his best conversations were in the bar afterwards. You know, just chatting about that with different people, and sometimes quite different political streams, but actually they had more in common or agreed more than you'd often think.
Oh yeah, I have a couple of good friends who are very into politics to one extent or another. I can think of 2 in particular who are both more knowledgeable than me. One with whom I agree about most things, and one with whom I disagree about most things. But we agree on a lot of interesting sort of core principles, and often just disagree about how we get there. So we have really interesting conversations, and we've both said to each other that we are each one of the few people that has changed the other's mind about something through conversation. And so that's a friendship I value a lot, because it's always interesting to get a different perspective from somebody who you respect.
Yeah, well, I think actually that aligns a little bit with what my father said. Some of the people he got on best with would actually would have been deemed political opposition in a sense, but actually when they're not sort of putting party politics aside, when they're actually talking about resolving something, there was more perhaps in common than you first think. But interesting. Okay, well, we'll change it up a little bit again, because it's just the nature of the way my brain works. But if you are orbit turned and said, right, Justin, we want you to write in a in an established world or franchise, whatever flavor that might be, what would you pick and why? So could
I have actually done that. First of all, so a friend of mine, Remy Vance. Sorry.
Damn my poor research.
No, because it was only a short story.
Okay.
It was a short story that I did. It was a Halloween short story. In fact, it was 2 Halloween short stories that became one extended one. A friend of mine, Remy Vance, has a series set in what's it called? The others. Gone God World. It's the Gone God World.
Yes,
I think Gone God World. And the premise is
the other week,
right? So the premise is that basically all mythological beings have been expelled from the void and sent to live on Earth. And it's a really interesting, it's a fun world. And he asked me to write a Halloween short story for him one year set in his world just for fun. So I did, and I kind of left it on a cliffhanger. And then he came back to me like a year later, and he was like, "People keep messaging me and asking me when you're going to finish this story and resolve the cliffhanger." So I was like, "Oh, okay. So I'll write the second half of the cliffhanger." And it was really fun. I wrote it in. It was the first thing I ever wrote in first person present tense, and I enjoyed it. And I think for something that was like meant to be sort of at least a little bit horror, I found first person present a really good tense to write in for that, because there's an urgency to it that I think works really nicely.
The immediacy of reacting to what's
it makes you much more present in like what's happening in the moment, and I enjoyed that about it, and it was a fun story to write, which is available for free if you sign up to my newsletter.
There you go.
But if I was going to do a new one, I think I'd love to write something in Joe Abercrombie's First Law world.
Yeah. That's a great world.
I just love that. I love that world. I love the characters. I love Joe's writing. I was very lucky to get to interview him. God, what is it? A month ago, I guess. Was it last month?
Oh yes, you did. That's right. Yes, I remember seeing the.
And he's you know, he's as nice and funny a guy as you would ever want him to be. You know, he's like one of these people you get to meet and you're like, this is great. This is you are just what I wanted you to be. This is fantastic. And we had the interview was good. We had a lot of laughs. We had a lot of fun. I would love to write in that world. I'd love to write something in the First Law world.
Excellent. Okay, Joe, we'll hit Justin up. He's keen, so let's make it happen.
Nice.
Now, similarly, I think maybe I even asked you this question before, but if we say Hollywood, it's more likely there could be any of the streaming worlds. But if Eden Saga, once complete, gets picked up by someone who wants to put it into production, who would you cast? I mean, I'm a little bit hard. Maybe we can stick to the first book, because obviously we don't want to go too many spoilers. But if you were casting this yourself, how would you? Who would you pick? Is there a reason why? What you've written scripts, so you've been part of that world to a degree.
Yeah, and I want to when I finish the 4th book, one of the projects I want to try and fit in is actually writing a sample script for the first episode of an adaptation and seeing if that helps to get something done with it, because I think it would work really well. So I did once do a fantasy casting of all this, and it was all like, Hollywood actors and like big Hollywood actors stuff. But actually, I've subsequently thought more about it, and actually, I'd really like it to be a proper Scottish production. I'd like it to be, much more intrinsically Scottish, and so I would like it to be a largely Scottish cast and a Scottish production. I'd like it to be filmed here. We've got studios here in Edinburgh.
Absolutely,
really filmed, and that's how I would really love to see it happen. And the person that I was surprised to find that he's about the right age. I thought he was too young, but actually he's older than I thought. The person that I thought would be a really great Aronach for that kind of thing is Richard Madden. I think he'd be brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he turns out to be exactly the right age that Aronach is in the first book. So I'd really love him. And I then realized I forget that Rose Leslie is Scottish. because she so rarely does a Scottish. She rarely has her own accent, so I forget that she's Scottish. She'd be a great Nerya, you know. I mean, she'd have to chop her hair short, but you know, that sort of fiery redhead.
You've got to give something up for the role.
Rose Leslie would be a great Nerya. And as for the others, I don't know. I think it would need to just go through a real casting process. I mean, unfortunately, Brian Blessed is no longer young enough to play Glorbad. But he would be perfect. He would have been perfect
age,
40 years ago.
Maybe
30 years ago, he'd have been perfect, but unfortunately not. So, it would. I would want it to be a really Scottish cast.
I think that'd be fantastic.
There are a lot of actors I'd love to see. The one non-Scottish actor that I think I would love to have in it, but who I am convinced would do a really good Scottish accent to be okay, is I think Liam Cunningham would be a brilliant Dargan Argyll. And I almost see Liam Cunningham in my head as I'm writing Dargan, because he's just so perfect for it.
Well, I for one hope that this can let's will it to fruition, because I think you agree. Having that from books that there's got that Scottish element to it, with film there, the vibe and the energy, I think it would pick up from something that would be something very special. So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Thanks. I mean, feel free to shout about it as much as you like.
Absolutely. We will. Yeah, people listening, let's get out there.
The more noise we can make about it, the more likely a producer is to wonder what the hell we're all talking about.
Absolutely. So I'll probably get to my next question now. So I was looking at the lovely copies of I've only got the first two, plus the very nice swanky edition, which, funnily enough, I bought that. Isn't it? I bought that when it was pretty, and then I won that in a competition. That's when we came across. And
of course.
You very kindly sent that all over Australia for me. So that was
I remember that.
So, but I didn't know some back. Obviously, there's some fairly big and lovely names, not least of which Mark Lawrence and Anthony Ryan, which quoted on the back of your books, which is fantastic. But if you were able to get any author, assuming that they enjoyed the work, you probably don't want someone quoting that says this book's rubbish and terrible. Who would you pick if you could pick your dream author to quote on your book?
Oh God! I mean, it's the biggest selling ones that I could get, who would get the biggest audience for it. So Joe Abercrombie, Jay Kristoff, both guys I've met and interviewed and got on well with.
Excellent. Okay, guys. So
Robin Hall. Let's anybody with a massive audience. Let's get that. Let's do that.
Book 4, guys. Get your heads out.
Let's see if we can get them to say something nice about it. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of that's the whole point of a blurb, really, isn't it?
You can thank me when you get the blurbs for book 4 from any of that.
I will do that. Listen, if we get blurbs for them, I'll dedicate the book to you.
Sounds good. I'll take you up on that. So before I get to my fun, silly questions at the end, what's the next 12 months look like for Justin? What that you can do?
So my intention is to hand in book 4 to the publisher at the end of the year. And then I don't have anything under contract, so I'm starting to think about what I'm going to pitch next. What that will be is currently looking like probably 3 options, one of which might be based on a short story I did for Grimdark magazine back in January, which I pitched as Cozy Grimdark. And I think it is, and I think I like it, and I think I might want to write a novel of it. Both the editors I worked with on it were like, please write a novel of this. And I thought, that'd be fun, actually.
I think mashing those genres, or merging genres, some of the most, some books I've most enjoyed recently have been where it's genre schmonra, just bash it in and put it together and
taking 2 elements of 2 completely contrasting genres and mashing them together into some bastard hybrid was and it was really fun to write. I enjoyed writing it. And the thing is, I think it also combines, for all that it combines those 2 genres, I think it also kind of combines my 2 styles of writing, because I think it's got some of the humor of Carpe Diem with some of the grittiness of the Eden Saga.
Yeah.
And so it's almost kind of the book that marries up
It's
my
in
two
the
styles.
whole Justin's writing this time. So
Yeah, exactly. So it's like my sense of humor and my sense of despair all in one book.
The yin and yang. Very good. Very good. Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing that when it comes out. So now is the time where the hard hitting questions are going to come out. So
Okay.
first thing first, this is a drink that I introduced my children to about 2 years ago that blew their socks off when we hit Edinburgh. Iron Brew, yay or nay?
So I used to like Iron Brew, but I in like 2009 maybe, to try and resolve some health issues. I did this not a detox diet, but like a diet to kind of figure out what my body didn't like.
Yeah.
And so it was really limited. There was like no processed foods, no sugar, no alcohol, no caffeine. I couldn't even use like tinned tomatoes to make stuff. I was like buying fresh tomatoes and peeling them and mashing them to make tomato sauce. And I did get healthier, and I lost a shitload of weight. And one of the things I obviously cut out at that point was soft drinks, like fizzy soft drinks.
Yeah.
And I did that diet for about 3 months, I guess, maybe 4. Anyway, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
After doing that diet and not drinking any fizzy drinks for all that time, when I did drink them again, they just tasted like chemicals. Yeah. My taste buds had completely changed.
That's funny,
and I couldn't enjoy them anymore because all I could taste was fizzy chemicals. And so I just don't drink them anymore.
Yeah.
So the answer is, when I drank them, yes, I really liked Iron Brew, but now I just don't. All I drink now is water.
Yeah.
Because I can taste all the chemicals in anything fizzy.
Yeah. Well, that's probably good. But for anyone, any probably stateside people, Google it. It is a unique drink. Certainly, I would add, I didn't force it down my kids' throats for weeks and weeks. We tried some, and then.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's really difficult to describe. I think legend has it we're the only country in the world where Coke isn't the number one selling soft drink because it's Iron Brew.
I think I've heard that. Yeah.
And it is good. Describing what it tastes like is a nightmare, because it's like you'll get anything from like tutti frutti to bubble gum to like some combination of like cream soda and tutti frutti. Like, it's really hard to describe what it tastes like. Ultimately, it tastes like Iron Brew. It's like other things taste like Iron Brew rather than Iron Brew tasting like things.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of possibly close to would be like that cream soda-ish, but only ish. It's completely different, but anyway, it's all good.
It is a unique thing, and if you've never tried it, if you like sodas, and if you've never tried it, absolutely try it.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised if you don't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds all good. Now my next question was only going to work if you've had a Tim Tam. Now, you've been to Australia.
I have.
Have you? Did you partake of the biscuit known as the Tim Tam?
I'm sure I did. Am I right to think of Tim Tam's the one where you can bite off both ends and drink through it like a straw?
Yes, that's the one.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Yes, I have had a Tim Tam.
Okay, so there's the battle royale between Tim Tams and Tunnock's tea cakes.
Yeah.
Who's winning?
Tunnock's tea cakes every time, man.
Yeah, well, the partisan choice there. So
I mean, it's partisan, but also I really like marshmallow things, and it's got that really lovely gooey marshmallow element to it. It does, yeah. So Tunnock's tea cake every time.
Excellent. Okay, well, that's we'll settle on that one then. So, Justin, thank you very much for your time this evening, or this evening for me, afternoon for you. Really appreciate it, guys. Look out for Damn King out on the 19th of August. So,
Visual aid. Pretty hardback.
Yeah.
Nice spread edges. Look at that.
Very nice.
Look at that. Nice. Lots of good authors saying good things about it on the back.
Absolutely. What more could you ask for?
Exactly, right?
So go get it. And thank you for your time. For everyone's, let's go check out Justin. Oh, stupid question. I nearly forgot. If people want to find you, where's the best place to check out your work and sign up to your newsletter?
So I finally caved into having a link tree, which just has everything on it. So if you look for Justine Lee Anderson, author, on Linktree, all my social media and all the links to buy the books and everything is all on there.
Perfect. Okay, well, head there, people, and check it out, and go buy Justin's books, and keep him in the manner he's accustomed,
or better, preferably,
or better. Yeah, even better, actually. Yeah, buy more so he can improve his life. What am I saying? Thanks very much, and until next time, take care and goodbye.
My pleasure, mate. Cheers.